The Grand Examination Hall was the largest room on Station Meridian 7. Its ceiling rose so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top, tiny weather systems born from the breath of 1,000 nervous cadets. Today, only 200 sat in the curved rows of seats, but their fear filled the space like smoke. Hana sat in row 3. She had chosen this seat 3 years ago on her first day, and she had never moved. Row 3 was perfect, not too close to the front where the instructors watched, not too far back where the troublemakers gathered. Row 3 was the place where eyes passed over you like water over smooth stone. She watched the other cadets file in. Sung walked like he owned the station, his shoulders wide and his chin high. He took his usual seat in the front row and immediately began talking to the cadet beside him, a nervous named whose 4 arms kept folding and unfolding with anxiety. "This is it," Sung said, loud enough for everyone to hear. 3 years of training and it all comes down to today. I hope everyone is ready." He was not hopping that at all. Hana could see it in the way his eyes moved, counting his competition, measuring threats. Sung wanted everyone to fail. He wanted to stand alone at the top. Entered next, her tablet already glowing with notes and data. She was brilliant, everyone knew that. Her analysis scores were the highest in the Academy's history. She sat in row 1, far from Sung, and did not look at anyone. Her fingers moved across the tablet screen like small birds, fast and precise. One came in quietly and took a seat in row 5. He nodded at Hana as he passed. She nodded back. They had spoken perhaps 10 times in 3 years, but there was an understanding between them. They were both watchers in a room full of performers. The alien cadets filled the remaining seats, the with their clicking joints and compound eyes, the with their blue skin and the constant low hum of their telepathic fields, the tall and many-limbed, their bodies glowing softly with bioluminescence. 12 species, all competing for the same prize, a position in the Unified Fleet's Threat Assessment Division. Hana took out her notebook. It was paper, actual paper made from trees that grew on Earth. The other cadets used tablets and neural links and holographic displays. They thought her notebook was strange, old-fashioned, almost funny. They did not understand that paper could not be hacked, could not be remotely accessed, could not be read by telepaths. Paper was invisible in a world of light and data. She wrote the date at the top of a fresh page. Then she waited. The doors at the front of the hall opened, and Commander Telos entered. The room went silent. Telos was ancient, even by standards. His 8 limbs moved with careful precision, each step calculated and deliberate. His bioluminescence had faded with age, but his eyes were still sharp, still hungry. He had served in the Unification Wars. He had seen species rise and fall. He had watched civilizations burn. Now he watched cadets take exams. "Good morning," Telos said. His voice was soft, but it carried to every corner of the hall. "Today is your final examination. 3 years of study, 3 years of training, 3 years of proving yourselves worthy of this academy. It all ends here." Sung sat. His fingers paused on her tablet. Even the stopped their telepathic humming. "The examination is simple," Telos continued. "You have 6 hours. In that time you must answer one question." He paused, letting the silence grow heavy. "Identify the single greatest threat in this room." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Cadets looked at each other, suspicion already blooming in their eyes. "You may use any method you wish," Telos said. "You may speak to other cadets, examine the room, analyze data. You may not leave the hall and you may not access external communications. At the end of 6 hours, you will submit your answer. Your entire career depends on what you write." He turned and walked to the observation platform at the side of the hall. "Your time begins now." The room exploded into motion. Cadets stood, formed groups, argued. Tablets flashed with data. They closed their eyes and extended their telepathic fields, trying to read the minds around them. Hana did not move. She sat in row 3 and watched. Sung was already pointing at and Cadet known for his powerful telepathy. "It's obvious," Sung said to anyone who would listen. "Telepaths are the most dangerous. They can read your secrets, control your thoughts, is the threat." His blue skin darkened with anger, but he said nothing. His people did not waste words on the obvious. Was building a different case. Her tablet showed images of home world data about hive mind warfare, statistics about their species' history of sudden violence. "The insects," she muttered, loud enough for others to hear. "Always the insects." His 4 arms folded tight against his body. His compound eyes reflected the hall's lights like broken mirrors. One caught Hana's eye from row 5. He shrugged slightly as if to say, "Look at them, they have already failed." Hana agreed, but she did not show it. She wrote in her notebook, small neat letters that no one could read from a distance. She remembered her entrance interview 3 years ago. The admissions AI had scanned her records, her test scores, her psychological profile. It had declared her statistically unremarkable. Average intelligence, average physical ability, average everything. She had been admitted only because a human senator had complained about low human enrollment. She was a quota fill, a number to make a report look better. The AI had not been wrong. She was unremarkable. That was the point. Hana stood and began to walk slowly through the hall. She passed cadets arguing about threat levels and species histories. She passed Sung, who did not notice her. She passed, who glanced up briefly and then returned to her tablet. "Excuse me," Hana said to a cadet she had never spoken to. "How are you feeling today?" The looked surprised. "Nervous," he admitted. "This exam is very important." "Yes," Hana said, "it is." She smiled, soft and forgettable, and moved on. She asked the same question to 11 more cadets. She noted their answers, their body language, their fear. She was building something in her notebook, line by line, name by name. No one asked her what she was doing. No one thought to wonder. In row 3, her empty seat waited for her return. Commander Telos watched from his platform, his ancient eyes missing nothing. His bioluminescence flickered once, the equivalent of a raised eyebrow. The examination had begun. Her name was. She was 43 years old, born on Earth in a small town near the ocean. She had no weapons. She carried no bags. She wore simple gray clothes that made her look like a clerk or a teacher. Nothing about her seemed dangerous. The pirates thought she was crazy. When her shuttle had appeared on their scanners, they had expected a trick. A bomb, perhaps, or a spy drone. But the shuttle was clean. No weapons, no explosives, no hidden soldiers. Just one small human woman, sitting calmly in the pilot seat, requesting permission to dock. She had asked, very politely, to speak with the Pirate King. The pirates had laughed. They had pointed their guns at her and called her names. They had pushed her and threatened her and told her all the terrible things they would do to her, but had not run. She had not cried. She had simply repeated her request. Eventually, someone decided to tell, and curious and amused, had ordered them to bring her to his throne room. The throne room was the largest space on the Crimson Maw. It had once been the main hangar of a warship, but had changed it. The walls were covered with trophies from his conquests. Weapons, flags, pieces of destroyed ships. In one corner hung the uniform of an Alliance admiral he had killed. In another corner sat a pile of gold and jewels, taken from a transport carrying royal treasure. At the center of the room was throne. It was made from the command chair of an Alliance battleship, the same ship whose admiral's uniform hung on the wall. Had killed everyone on that ship and taken the chair as a prize. He liked to sit there and remember. Was brought before him by 4 guards. They stood behind her with their weapons ready, waiting for the order to shoot. Around the rooms, lieutenants watched with hungry eyes. There were 12 of them, the most trusted members of his crew. Each one was a killer. Each one had earned their place through blood. Looked down at the small human woman and smiled. His teeth were sharp and yellow like broken glass. He was huge, even sitting down. His shoulders were wider than was tall. His claws tapped slowly on the armrest of his throne. "So," he said, his voice filling the room like thunder, "a human comes to visit me, alone, unarmed. Either you are very brave or very stupid." Bowed politely. "My name is. I am a representative of the Human Diplomatic Corps. I have come to discuss the release of your prisoners." The room was silent for a moment, then laughed. It was a terrible sound, deep and cruel. His lieutenants joined in, their laughter echoing off the metal walls. "The Human Diplomatic Corps," repeated, still laughing. "I have never heard of such a thing. Are you going to talk me to death, little human? Are you going to bore me until I let everyone go?" Waited for the laughter to stop. Her face remained calm. Her hands stayed clasped behind her back. She showed no fear. "Among your prisoners," she said, "there are 17 human citizens. My government has sent me to negotiate their release." Leaned forward, the laughter died. His yellow eyes narrowed. "Negotiate? And what do you have to offer me, little human? Money? Ships? Your own soft body?" "I am prepared to offer you your life," said. The room went completely silent. The guards behind shifted nervously. The lieutenants exchanged confused looks. Had they heard correctly? Had this tiny woman just threatened the pirate king? Stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed again, louder than before. "My life? You offer me my own life?" He slapped his knee with one massive hand. "This is the best joke I have heard in years. Tell me, little human, are all your people this funny?" Did not smile. "I am not joking." Stopped laughing. Something in her voice made him pause. There was no fear in it, no doubt. She spoke like someone stating a simple fact. "You should be careful," said slowly. "I could kill you right now. One swipe of my claws. Your head would roll across this floor before you could blink." Nodded. "Yes, you could kill me, that is true." "Then why are you not afraid?" "Because killing me would be the worst mistake of your life." His eyes narrowed. He studied her carefully, looking for signs of a trick, a hidden weapon, a bomb, something that would explain her confidence. But he saw nothing. She was just a small woman in plain clothes. "Explain," he said. Took a deep breath. "Before I came here, I spent 6 months learning about you. I read every report, every file, every piece of information I could find. I talked to people who had survived your raids. I studied your tactics, your habits, your preferences. I learned your history. I learned your secrets." She paused. The room was very quiet now. "I know things about you that no one else knows, things that would destroy you if they became public. I am not a soldier. I am not an assassin. I am something much more dangerous." She smiled for the first time. It was a small, cold smile. "I am a person with information." Leaned back in his throne. For the first time he did not look amused. He looked thoughtful, and perhaps, just perhaps, a little worried. "What information?" he asked. Smile widened slightly. "Let me tell you a story. 3 years ago you raided a passenger liner called the Golden Dream. You killed most of the passengers, but you let one go, a young female. You let her go because she reminded you of someone from your past, someone you loved." His face changed. The scales around his eyes tightened. His claws dug into the armrest. "How do you know this?" His voice was different now, lower, dangerous. "I told you," said. "I know everything, and that is just the beginning." She stood, her eyes locked on his. The guards, the lieutenants, the trophies on the walls, none of it mattered. In that moment there were only 2 people in the room, the pirate king and the woman who had come to bring him down. "Shall I continue?" asked. Said nothing, but he did not look away, and he did not laugh anymore. The throne room had grown cold. The air felt heavy like the moment before a storm. Sat on his throne, his yellow eyes fixed on the small human woman standing before him. His lieutenants had stopped whispering. The guards had stopped shifting. Everyone was waiting. Began to speak. You have 17 weapons caches hidden across the outer rim, she said. Her voice was calm and clear, like a teacher giving a lesson. The first is on the moon of 3, buried beneath an old mining station. The second is in the asteroid belt near, hidden inside a hollowed rock marked with a red triangle. The third. She named all 17. Locations, landmarks, access codes, details that no outsider should know. Details that had shared with no one except his most trusted men. As of 6 hours ago, continued, all 17 caches have been seized by human strike teams. Your weapons are gone. His claws scraped against his throne. A low growl built in his throat. One of his lieutenants, a thin creature with 4 arms, took a step toward, but raised one hand and the lieutenant stopped. You have 3 secret shipyards, said. One in the nebula, one orbiting the dead world of, one hidden in the cargo section of Neutral Station disguised as a repair dock. These shipyards build and maintain your fleet. Without them, you cannot replace the ships you lose. She paused. They are currently burning. Another growl, louder this time. Scales had darkened, a sign of rage in his species. The lieutenants were looking at each other now, fear creeping into their eyes. How did she know? The shipyards were the greatest secret of the pirate fleet. Even most of his own crew did not know where they were. You have money, continued. A lot of money, stored in 23 accounts across 6 different banking worlds. The largest account is on Neutral Station, under the name of a trading company that does not exist. It contains approximately 400 million credits. She smiled slightly. That account was frozen 20 minutes before my shuttle docked with your ship. The others were frozen shortly after. You have no money, not anymore. The throne room erupted. Lieutenants shouted. Guards cursed. Someone threw a cup against the wall. Himself rose from his throne, standing at his full height, towering over everyone in the room. His shadow fell across like a dark cloud. Who are you? He roared. Who sent you, the Alliance, a rival clan? Tell me, or I will tear you apart piece by piece. Did not step back. She did not flinch. She looked up at the massive alien and spoke as calmly as before. I am no one important. I am just a messenger. The people who sent me are the ones you should fear. Humans spat, weak little humans. You have been part of the galaxy for only 100 years. You are nothing. You are prey. That is what everyone thinks, said, and that is why everyone underestimates us. She began to walk slowly across the room, her hands still clasped behind her back. The guards followed her with their weapons, but no one fired. No one moved to stop her. There was something about her, something that made even armed killers hesitate. When humans first came to the stars, she said, we were weak. We had no powerful ships. We had no great weapons. We had no allies. Everyone looked at us and saw easy targets, and we knew it. She stopped near a wall covered in trophies. She looked at the weapons, the flags, the pieces of broken ships, all the signs of power. So we did what humans have always done when we are weak. We watched. We listened. We learned. We built networks of information that spread across every corner of the galaxy. We placed agents in every major organization. We recorded every transaction, every communication, every secret deal. We built the largest intelligence network in history, and we did it so quietly that no one noticed. She turned back to, we know everything. Every pirate lord, every corrupt official, every hidden base. We know who is stealing from whom. We know who is planning to betray whom. We know secrets that would start wars if they became public. His rage had cooled slightly. He was listening now, really listening. He was beginning to understand. You did not come here to threaten me, he said slowly. You came here to show me that I am already beaten. Nodded. Your weapons are gone. Your shipyards are gone. Your money is gone. I also know the names of every spy and informant you have in the Alliance government. I know the locations of every safe house, every escape route, every backup plan. If I do not return to my people within 12 hours, All of this information will be sent to every news service, every government, every rival pirate clan in the galaxy. She stepped closer to him. She was so small compared to his massive body, a mouse standing before a lion. You have enemies, many enemies, people you have robbed, people whose families you have killed. Right now they do not know where to find you, but if I die here they will know everything. Your location, your weaknesses, the names of everyone who has ever helped you. How long do you think you would survive? Was silent. His lieutenants were silent. The whole room seemed to hold its breath. What do you want? Asked finally. His voice was quiet now, all the rage drained out of it. I want you to release all your prisoners, said. Not just the humans, all of them, every single being in your holding cells. You will give them ships and supplies to return home. You will not harm them. You will not follow them. And if I do this, then I will leave and your secrets will stay secret. You will lose your empire, but you will keep your life. You can rebuild somewhere far away where no one knows your name, or you can turn yourself into the Alliance and face justice. The choice is yours. Stared at her for a long time. His claws opened and closed. His jaw tightened. She could see him thinking, calculating, searching for a way out. But there was no way out. She had made sure of that. Humans, he said finally, almost to himself. We should have destroyed you when we had the chance. Shook her head. Others have tried, they failed. Do you know why? Tell me. Because humans do not forget, we do not forgive, and we never ever stop. She held his gaze. You can be our enemy and we will hunt you until the end of time, or you can give us what we want and we will leave you alone. Those are your only choices. The Pirate King stood in silence, surrounded by his lieutenants, in a throne room filled with the trophies of his conquests. For 30 years, he had been the most feared being in the Outer Rim. No one had ever defeated him. Until today, the hours passed slowly in the holding pens. Captain sat with her back against the cold metal bars watching the corridor. Something was happening. She could feel it. The guards were nervous. They whispered to each other in harsh voices, their eyes darting around like frightened animals. Sat beside her, his young face pale and tired. 3 days in this cage had changed him. The brightness in his eyes had dimmed. He barely spoke anymore. Wanted to comfort him, to tell him everything would be okay, but she did not want to lie. Around them, over 400 prisoners waited in silence. Different species, different worlds, different lives. All of them taken by pirates. All of them waiting to learn their fate. Some would be sold as slaves. Some would be sent to the mines. Some would simply disappear. A loud noise echoed through the corridor. Shouting. Stood up and pressed her face against the bars, trying to see. Other prisoners did the same. The shouting grew louder, closer. Then came the sound of running feet. Guards rushed past the cages, heading toward the upper levels. Their faces were twisted with fear. Had never seen pirates afraid before. Whatever was happening above them must be serious. More hours passed. The shouting stopped. An eerie silence fell over the ship. Even the constant hum of the engine seemed quieter than before. Then the lights changed. The red emergency lights that had been glowing since the prisoners arrived flickered and turned white. Normal lights, soft and calm. Footsteps approached. Slow, steady footsteps. Not the heavy boots of guards, but something lighter. A group of pirates appeared at the end of the corridor. They looked different now. Their weapons were lowered. Their shoulders were slumped. They looked defeated. Behind them walked the human woman, the one had seen earlier. She was still wearing her plain gray clothes. Her hands were still clasped behind her back. She walked through the corridor like she owned the ship, like she had nothing to fear from anyone. The lead pirate, an alien with one eye, stopped at the first cage. His hands were shaking as he entered a code into the lock. The cage door swung open. No one moved. The prisoners inside stared at the open door, not understanding. "You are free," the pirate said. His voice was rough and bitter. "All of you get out." Still no one moved. It had to be a trick. A cruel joke, was famous for playing games with his prisoners, giving them hope before crushing it. The human woman stepped forward. She looked at the prisoners with calm, kind eyes. "It is not a trick," she said. "You are being released, all of you. There are shuttles waiting in the main hangar. They will take you wherever you want to go." Slowly, carefully, the prisoners began to move. They stepped out of the cages like people walking in a dream. Some cried. Some laughed. Some fell to their knees and thanked whatever gods they believed in. Watched the human woman as more cages were opened. She moved from group to group, speaking softly, helping people to their feet, guiding them toward the hangar. She seemed to know exactly what to do, exactly what to say. When she reached the cage, their eyes met. The woman smiled, a small, tired smile. "Captain," she said, "your crew is waiting for you. It is time to go home." Stepped out of the cage. Her legs were weak, but she forced herself to stand straight. "Who are you?" she asked. "My name is." "How did you do this? How did you release us?" Glanced down the corridor, toward the upper levels where waited in his throne room. I reminded him that even the biggest predator can become prey. Stumbled out of the cage behind, he looked at with wide eyes. "You came alone," he said. "You walked into a pirate ship alone. That is crazy." Laughed softly. "Maybe, or maybe it is the sanest thing anyone has ever done." She gestured toward the hangar. "Come, we should not stay here longer than we need to." The walk to the hangar was the strangest experience of life. She walked through the corridors of the Crimson Maw, the most feared pirate ship in the galaxy, and no one stopped her. Pirates stepped aside as she passed. They did not meet her eyes. They did not speak. They looked like broken men. The hangar was huge, big enough to hold a dozen small ships. Shuttles were lined up in rows, their engines already running. Crates of food and medical supplies were stacked near each one. Everything was organized, efficient, ready. Stopped and stared. This was not a quick release. This had been planned. Someone had prepared for this, made sure the prisoners would have everything they needed. "Your crew is on Shuttle 7, said, appearing beside her. "The navigation system is already programmed with the coordinates of the nearest safe port. You should arrive in about 3 days." "What about?" asked. "What happens to him?" "That is his choice. He can run and hide, or he can face justice. Either way, his empire is finished." Was staring at like she was some kind of miracle. "I do not understand," he said. "You are just one person, one human. How did you beat him?" Turned to face him, her expression softened. "I did not beat him, I just showed him the truth. Thought he was the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. He thought no one could touch him, but he was wrong." She looked around at the freed prisoners, hundreds of them, all moving toward the shuttles, all heading home. "Humans are not the strongest species. We are not the fastest or the toughest, but we are patient. We watch. We remember. And when we decide to act, we do not make mistakes." She put a hand on shoulder. "There is always someone higher on the food chain. Always. And sometimes that someone is the creature everyone else ignored." Felt tears building in her eyes. She blinked them away. She was a captain. She needed to be strong for her crew. "Thank you," she said. "Whatever happens next, thank you." Nodded. "Take care of your people, Captain. Take care of your brother. Go home. Live your lives. That is all the thanks I need." She turned and walked away, moving through the crowd of freed prisoners, helping where she could, guiding people toward their shuttles. She looked ordinary. She looked like no one special. But knew better now, she understood. The most dangerous people were not the ones with the biggest weapons or the loudest voices. The most dangerous people were the ones who watched and waited and knew exactly when to strike. Took's hand and led him toward Shuttle 7. Her crew was waiting. They were going home. Behind them, the Crimson Maw grew smaller and smaller in the viewport. The ship that had been a symbol of terror for 30 years, the fortress of the Pirate King. Brought down by one woman who walked in alone, the story spread like fire. It started in the cantinas of the Outer Rim, where spacers and traders gathered to drink and share news. Someone had heard something from someone else. A pirate ship had been defeated. Prisoners had been released. The Pirate King himself had surrendered without a fight. At first, no one believed it. Was invincible, everyone knew that. He had destroyed fleets. He had killed admirals. He had laughed at every attempt to stop him. But then the survivors started arriving. Shuttle after shuttle landed on different worlds, carrying freed prisoners who told the same story. Over 400 beings, released from the Crimson Maw, all of them speaking of a single human woman who had walked into his throne room and walked out with everyone. The news services picked up the story. Reporters traveled across the Outer Rim, interviewing survivors, trying to piece together what had happened. But there were more questions than answers. Who was this woman? Where did she come from? How had she done the impossible? The Human Diplomatic Corps released a short statement. They confirmed that a representative had facilitated a peaceful resolution to a hostage situation in the Outer Rim. They did not provide any other details. They did not name the representative. But people talked, and the more they talked, the more the story grew. Some said the woman was a secret agent, trained from childhood to be a spy. Others said she was a cyborg, enhanced with technology that gave her superhuman abilities. Others said humans had developed mind control powers and could force anyone to do anything. The truth was simpler and more terrifying. 3 months after the release of the prisoners, surrendered himself to an Alliance patrol ship. He came quietly without resistance. He was taken to an Alliance court and charged with hundreds of crimes: piracy, murder, kidnapping, slavery. The list went on for pages. The trial was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as the Pirate King stood before the judges, stripped of his weapons and his power. He looked smaller somehow, like something had broken inside him. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Every raid, every murder, every illegal transaction had been documented. Recordings, financial records, witness statements. The prosecutors had more information than they knew what to do with. Said nothing in his defense. When the judges asked him why he had surrendered, he stared at them with empty eyes. "Because there is no point in running," he said. "They know everything. They see everything. You cannot hide from people who never stop watching." He was sentenced to life imprisonment on a prison asteroid at the edge of known space. He would never leave. He would never threaten anyone again. The Crimson Maw was captured a week later. Without their leader, without resources, without secrets to protect them, his crew scattered. Most were caught by Alliance patrols. Others were killed by rival pirates who finally saw their chance. Within 6 months, the greatest pirate empire in the Outer Rim had completely disappeared. On a quiet colony world far from the space lanes started a new life. She bought a small transport ship and named it Second Chance. It was not much, just big enough for a crew of 8, but it was hers. She would never work for anyone else again. Served as her first officer. He had changed since their time in the holding pens. He was quieter, more serious, but he was also stronger. The fear that had almost broken him had become something else: purpose, determination. Sometimes, late at night, when the ship was traveling through the empty spaces between stars, they would sit together on the bridge and talk about what had happened. "I still do not understand it," said one night. "How she did it, how one person could have so much power." Looked out at the stars. She had thought about this many times. "It was not power," she said finally. "Not the kind we usually think about. She did not have ships or weapons or soldiers. She had something else." "What?" "Information. She knew everything about every secret, every weakness. And he knew that she knew. That was what defeated him, not force, knowledge." Was quiet for a long moment. "Do you think she is still out there, watching?" Smiled. "I think there are a lot of people like her. People we never see, never notice. They watch and they wait and they remember. and when the time is right, they act. She thought about the woman who had saved them. She had never learned anything else about her. No last name, no history, no clue about who she really was, just a name and a face and a memory. Humans are strange, said. Everyone treats them like they are weak, like they do not matter, but maybe that is what they want. Maybe, agreed. Maybe being underestimated is the best weapon of all. Across the galaxy, in cantinas and trading posts and government offices, people were still talking about what had happened. The story had become a legend, growing bigger with each telling. Some versions were close to the truth. Others were pure fantasy. But one thing remained constant in every version, one detail that everyone remembered. A single human woman had walked into the fortress of the most feared pirate in the galaxy. She had no weapons. She had no army. She had nothing but knowledge and patience and the quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly what she was doing. And she had walked out with everyone. In the dark spaces between stars, where pirates and slavers had once hunted freely, a new whisper circulated. A warning passed from ship to ship, from world to world. Be careful with humans. They are watching. They are always watching. They remember every wrong. They track every debt. They build files and records and networks that span the entire galaxy. And when they come for you, they do not come with fleets or armies. They send one person. And that is all they need. Far away, on a small shuttle heading toward her next assignment, a woman in plain gray clothes sat alone in the pilot's seat. She looked out at the stars, her hands clasped in her lap, her expression calm and patient. There was always another mission, another wrong to be made right, another predator who thought they were untouchable. Smiled to herself and set a new course. The galaxy never stopped watching, and neither did she.